Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today, for your outpouring love and support. In moments like this, I think we truly understand the value of community as we share in the tears and the laughter that accompany celebrating our magnificent little Neal. We'll start off with friends and family sharing their reflections and stories, and then we'll move back to the main hall to spend time with the family and to all be together. My name is Vina, and I had the true privilege of being Neal's aunt for the past 18 years. I'd like to share a few words of my own, but first I'm going to take a deep breath, and I invite you all to join me. Neal was a magical creature that sprouted in my family and continued to bloom in unimaginable ways. His sense of curiosity and playfulness seeded a sense of awe in everyone around him. He was, and still is, a constant reminder that the world is full of mysteries and incredible beauty if you take the time to look. When we were in the hospital, the nurses went out of their way to find me and to share that being a part of his journey was an honor for them, and you could just feel the depth in their voice. Because whether it was someone in passing or a lifelong friend, he invested in every single interaction. And I imagine many of us feel the same way that the nurses who were with him throughout every treatment felt, that being part of Neal's journey was truly an honor. It's clear to me that he was at peace with what was happening in his body. And when I say at peace, I don't mean acceptance. It was something beyond that. It was as if he had a window into something bigger that we couldn't even wrap our minds around. And even in those last moments, he was so focused on how everyone else around him was processing what was happening. He kept telling us that he would become part of the universe and be with us for every step of the way. And while that's a beautiful sentiment, I now know there was actually something very tangible to what he was saying. I noticed a shift in everyone around me, as if his magic was released and washed over us. I saw everyone look at things with a different perspective, a sense of awe and wonder, and deep, deep gratitude, as if he was there guiding us through. I hope for all of us that we can continue to honor him by moving through the world guided by his most endearing qualities. I know that my life will be forever changed by that little man. So I decided to start a list of things that I will do so that a little spark of Neal gets to live on. This is just my first draft. I will turn over every log I see to see what magical critters lie beneath and bring more awareness to the vast natural world that surrounds us in every moment. I don't really need encouragement in this arena, but I will take every opportunity to treat myself to indulgent food, especially his favorite, caviar. I will seek out hidden stargazing spots so I can marvel at the stars. I will lean into my curiosity about other human beings and their lives, because you never know what beauty we have to offer each other. I will indulge my passions and not let them slip away, which is so easy to do in our day-to-day life. While this will be an ongoing process, I encourage all of us to reflect on the unique ways Neal inspired us, and how we can continue to see the magic of the world through his eyes. I am a better person because of Neal, and I know he will continue to support me on my journey. Thank you, Neal, for all the gifts you continue to give me every day. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite my sibling, Sindhu, up to the stage.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for gathering in the memory and celebration of my nephew, Neal Ramasamy. Neal was born when I was 13, and I've had the honor of witnessing him grow and evolve through the years. I think I was one of his first babysitters. We share a deep love for nature, all living creatures, furry, slithering, crawling alike. We also share a deep love for massage, song, and spirituality. something we learned to enjoy together very much. Neal had many special gifts, as I think a lot of you know, and I'd like to talk about them a little bit. He was a forest protector. Even at a young age, he understood the importance and the glory of the forest and all the living beings inside of it. He had the gift of flight, which I'll speak about a little bit more, and a keen eye for salamanders, snakes, and toads and frogs, as we all know. When I say the gift of flight, I mean that Neal had a beautiful ability to zoom out and get an aerial view. He would travel all over the world through Google Maps and show me all of these beautiful craggy mountains and all these places he wanted to visit. And when he was feeling alone or bored, he would go to the most beautiful places all around the world. And relatedly, when life on Earth got complex, he could fly up into the air just like a hawk, zoom out of the situation, and get a beautiful perspective. This zoomed out perspective would always allow for him to see all the love that surrounded him, all of you, supporting him, holding him. About 2.5 years ago, Neal had a very special and potent spiritual awakening in which the spirit of the buck visited him in the forest. After this, he told me, "I always thought you were just a weird, crazy artist, but now I really, really get you." And from that moment on, we really cemented a spiritual connection. Despite all his travels to majestic mountains and forests, he would describe the small strip of woods behind his house as magnificent, magical, peaceful, beautiful, and he would tell me all about his time sitting at this small spring right next to all this construction. And at first I was like, this is so strange. Like, I don't fully understand, but I'm gonna keep joining you for walks in this forest. And through time, doing rituals with him there, leaving offerings, sitting with him in the forest, I began to see through his eyes. I have come to see it for the sacred and special place that it is, full of guides, protectors, and ancestors, just like that buck that visited him. Neal has helped us all see the beauty of the world in its multifaceted glory, as well as the love and joy surrounding us in different ways. He has kept in regular touch with relatives and friends near and far, building a brilliant golden web of love connecting us all. And of course, Neal made friends everywhere he journeyed. As I said, Neal and I are both music lovers, which has resulted in us sharing many medicine songs over the years. Neal has given me the strength and inspiration to stand in my truth, to share the medicine of my soul readily and freely, and most importantly, to be as silly as possible at all times. So, in honor of Neal, I would love to share 2 songs with you all. The first song is about love, which Neal very much embodied, but it also is about grief, because in its core, grief is about the love that we had for the people and things that we've lost. The second song is a song about the queen of the ocean, mother of the sea, a beautiful presence that me and Neal shared comfort from together. Because I love you so much, because I love you so much, so much, so much. Because I love you so much, with all of my heart. Hey, yo, na, hey, nay, yo, way. Because I love you so much, because I love you so much, so much, so much. Because I love you so much, with all of my heart. Hey, yo, na, hey, nay, yo, way. Porque te amo tanto, porque te amo tanto, tanto, tanto. Porque te amo tanto, con todo mi corazón. Hey, yo, na, hey, me, yo, hey. Because I love you so much, because I love you so much, so much, so much. Because I love you so much, with all of my heart. Hey, yo, na, hey, me, yo, way. And one more song for you all. Salvia in tu mar, salvia minha mãe, Iemanjá. Salvia rainha do mar, salvia minha mãe, Iemanjá. Ela é a criadora do fundo do mar, do fundo do mar. Ela é a protetora do fundo do mar, do fundo do mar. Ela é minha mãe. Ela é Iemanjá. Ela é minha mãe. Ela é Iemanjá. Salvia rainha do mar, salvia minha mãe, Iemanjá. Salvia rainha do mar, salvia minha mãe, Iemanjá. Ela é a criadora do fundo do mar, do fundo do mar. Ela é a protetora do fundo do mar, do fundo do mar. Ela é minha mãe. Ela é Iemanjá. Ela é minha mãe. Ela é Iemanjá. Thank you so much.
Just want to do a quick sound check and make sure that this sounds a little bit better. Okay. Next, I'd like to invite Neal's best friends since middle school up, Zubin, Jonathan, and Aaron.
Hello, I'm Zubin Pandey. I met Neal years back, right before heading into 7th grade at Morristown Beard at a summer barbecue. It was a bit awkward at first, going to a new school and not knowing anyone. And then Neal walked up to me. He had this teal polo on and a burger in his hand. He just started talking to me like it was the most normal thing to do. Before I knew it, I was a part of his group, hanging out and feeling like I've known these people for ages. A lot of those same people are here today. He had this knack for making people feel comfortable. He wasn't the kind of guy to just stick to his circle. He always had room for one more. He was always up for anything too. I remember one summer at his beach house, he took the time to teach me how to boogie board. He didn't have to, but that was Neal, always looking out for others. He had this incredible joy for life. I mean, he even loved spotting turtles and frogs on our hikes. Neal could find the happiness in the little things, and he shared that happiness with all of us. Neal had his struggles, we all know that, but even when he was going through treatments, he had this positivity that just wouldn't quit, and man, did he love Fortnite. Even when we couldn't be with him, we could always just log on and play together. So here we are, remembering Neal. When I think of him, I think of boogie boards, amphibians, and hiking trails. I think of the Fortnite games and all the fun times we had. Neal wasn't just a friend. He was a brother to a lot of us. You know how people say you measure a person by how they touch others' lives? Neal was a giant by that measure. His enthusiasm, his strength, and his kind, generous heart made him the best of us. Neal, we're going to miss you so much, but we know that you'll always be with us. In every laugh shared, in every game played, and in every wave ridden. Thank you for being you and for being our friend. Rest easy, man. We love you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan Hong, and I've had the privilege of knowing Neal for over 7 years. And today, I want to share my profound experience with him. When I think about the first time I felt comfortable at MBS, I think about Neal. We met during 6th grade orientation, and from our initial encounter, there was an instant clicking, like we saw through each other and picked right back from where we left off. Neal just complimented me. I was never an outgoing or talkative person, but our random conversations about geckos and the landmass of Africa took me to laughter-filled adventures, and from that day forward, we agreed to be a team, just two Fortnite addicts trying to figure out the world. Since then, I've indulged myself in one of the best relationships of my life, a friendship that has no judgment and patiently sticks by you through everything, a friendship that lasts forever. I know you are supposed to mature as you grow older, but with Neal, I felt at home. I was a boy inside my thoughts. I felt the most alive when I was with Neal, frantically dodging Neal's pursuit of laying a grasshopper on my head or spinning around in circles on his electric scooter until he collapsed. What I loved about Neal was that his kind, humorous, and energetic traits that blossomed our relationship also resonated with everyone around him. Neal always brought a smile to anyone's face, and his unique perspective of the world made Neal such a vibrant and loving character. He made people feel valued and heard, which is a very rare gift. Everyone liked being around Neal. And I feel like that this is the reason that helped Neal fight through cancer for all these years. Besides his strong-willed persona, Neal always knew that he had a tight-knit community around him. Because of this, Neal found a purpose to persevere through his surgeries and to reignite his life with joy. His occasional returns to high school and outside activities served as a reminder that there are bright places, even in dark times. Neal was everyone's bright light, and there was a spark of hope to anyone that was struggling. What I learned about Neal's death is that grief is not linear, and it never goes away. I hated how the world didn't stop when I heard about Neal, and my periodic reflections about him during the past couple days reminded me that the sun shined a little less bright now. We can't live life believing that we will someday understand its true purpose. We are meant to just exist and live life as fully as we can. And if we get lucky, we get to share that experience with special people, and Neal is no exception. His presence in my life is a treasure that I dearly hold close to my heart. His friendship is a source of joy, support, and unwavering love. And I am endlessly grateful for the privilege of having him by my side. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Hong. Ever since 6th grade, I've had the honor to call Neal one of my closest friends. He was an adventurer, a go-getter, and filled with so much energy and joy. He was so passionate for everything that he did. He was passionate about meeting new people, nature, and trying to change the world little by little. And although he was a little obsessed with reptiles and bugs, which was a little bit strange to me, what I loved about him was that he found something that he was genuinely passionate for, which made him very special to me. What I mostly admire about Neal, though, is that in my eyes, he's a survivor. Even going through countless surgeries, going in and out of hospitals, and being bedridden throughout his middle and high school career, he survived. He's always kept his spirits high and his smile even wider because he's a survivor. And he's one of the strongest people I've ever met. So speaking at the school where I first met him, it's hard not to imagine where all the time went. Over the past few days, I've come to realize that you don't really know the price of time until you know what life can really buy. I still remember, without my parents' knowledge, staying up to playing Fortnite for 8 hours every single day with Neal, which is a bit much. I remember our mini excursions at his beach house in Lavalette and our walks and spending time just with anything. Spending time with him during a Halloween, just him and I, for the past couple of years. And on the last day I met him before I went to college, he baked me a muffin, and we just talked for 2 hours on the ground, just talking about how he was so ready to change the world and see the beauty of this world. Time is precious, and I don't regret a single moment I had with Neal. To say that time was unfair to Neal is an understatement, but it's crazy to me to imagine how much joy Neal has brought to all of us in such a short period of time in our lifetime. I'd like to conclude by quickly doing something that Neal did for me during graduation, which was give him a shout out. So I'm just gonna say, Neal, we love you, we miss you, and you'll forever be in our hearts. And Neal, we did it, thanks to you. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Neal's high school advisor, Darren Lovelock.
Good morning all. Well done, boys. This is not easy. Good morning. My name is Darren Lovelock, and on behalf of the head of our school, the faculty, staff, and students, I'd like to offer our sincere condolences to the Ramasamy family. And for those of you who've come here for the first time, you are welcome in our school. We loved Neal. We loved his laugh. We loved his smile. We loved his hats. his light. Anyone who was under that big tent during graduation will remember his speech for the rest of their lives. He was on fire that day. I was lucky enough to be one of Neal's advisors and one of his English teachers here. Neal taught me a great deal. He showed me what resilience looks like, what humility looks like, what grace under fire really looks like, how a man should behave, how a man can behave, I suppose, even when he's under siege. One of the boons of being an English teacher is that we sometimes get to see perhaps a little more deeply into the hearts of our students through their writing. The first example of Neal's that popped up in my Google files the last couple of days was filled with his usual humor. This from a vocab quiz in which he had to explain entrepreneur and monopoly. Tim, writes Neal, was an entrepreneur who took a financial risk on an idea he believed with his heart would make him rich. He was right, and now he has a monopoly on all the toilet paper businesses in America. You can see him in every bathroom in the country. The second piece that popped up was filled with that gratitude for others, for which we all knew and loved Neal. Neal was always talking and writing about friends and family he treasured here or overseas, his siblings, his parents, his grandparents, his aunts and uncles. Now I understand why he said he had very cool aunts. We heard about them all at school in his writing or when he just chatted with me. Neal worked a little with me on something for Dr. Tilton Levine's writing class. He was constructing a profile of his grandfather. The piece is really about generational generosity. My grandpa, Api, Neal writes, gives away too much. He never wants to keep anything for himself. Neal tells us that Api's father before him was just as generous. He used to hide the grains when the British came to take them, and when they left, he would spread them through the village. Neal stood in awe of kindness. As I write this, I quote, Api sits beside me in the hospital, helping me recover from treatment as he has done weekly for the past couple of months. For 9 months during my first treatment, he was up every morning at 6 to say goodbye to me and was there until 10 at night to welcome me back. He will be with me always. We know that Neal, with his remarkable generosity of spirit, deserves his place in your long bloodline of generous men. What Neal taught us all in graduation was gratitude and a respect for the importance of the now. He spoke from beyond his years that day, almost from beyond himself, and I remember sitting there thinking, how on earth is he doing this? Where is this strength coming from? Serendipitously, his aunt hinted at the answer that I found too, because I remembered paragraphs that he'd shared back with me in the fall as he drafted his personal college essay. My cancer had returned, and I started a second round of chemo in 11th grade. As I was recuperating from this, I solemnly reviewed my life. Why was I given cancer? Taken away from my friends, stripped of the life I once knew. Fixating on misfortune, I kept going deeper into a dark abyss. As I went to wipe tears, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Outside the window, on the edge of my lawn, near the woods, horns out, pacing hoof after hoof, gracefully walking beside the trees. It was a buck, a magnificent, regal, beautiful buck. As it neared the end of my lawn and turned into the wilderness, I jumped out of my seat and ran outside barefoot. I felt the tinge of coldness. I hobbled as fast as I could without crutches to catch up. It slowly turned into a part of the wood that was dear to me, the part I would go to de-stress myself from my less than ideal life and surround myself in the solitude of nature. I caught up to it as I hovered near the edge of suburbia, peering into the winter's woods. The buck stopped and stared at me. We looked eye to eye, and I felt a power as if the universe was communicating with me. Neal, this is all for a reason. And even though things may feel bleak, they're not. You must be grateful for what you have and hope for a better tomorrow. At that moment, writes Neal, everything started to change. A seed of gratitude was planted in the recess of my mind, and its tendrils have been spreading through me ever since. I realized how lucky I was to have such a loving family who would stop at nothing to make me happy, friends who would cheer me up at my lowest time. And I discovered my personal strength. I had a choice, says Neal. I could choose to succumb to despair, or I could choose to uplift my spirit. I stood barefoot in the cold December woods and made my choice. And he did. Thank you for Neal. We shan't forget him. He was a diamond.
I'd like to invite Neal's aunts and uncles, Uma, Vijay, and Hari.
We are all gathered here today to celebrate the life of Neal and his memories that we cherish. I would like to share some memories of Neal that we can all relate to. He was my nephew, but above all, he was a special nephew to me. His first passion was wildlife, reptiles and amphibians. Anything that slithers, from gators to geckos and everything in between. He loved them. Florida was his favorite getaway, just to catch a glimpse of anything that would be slithering. On one of his trips to our house, he was good buddies with my son. They both had a good time together. I found a black racer snake the previous day, and I managed to capture it. I'm no snake catcher. I haven't done this for others, but I did it for Neal. Next morning, we woke up. The snake had vanished. I picked him up from the airport, and I gave him the sad news that the snake that was waiting for him was no longer there. He spent the next day or two running around the backyard looking for snakes. And he was even praying that a gator would pop out from the lake behind. Fortunately, nothing came. But I got lucky. The next day, I found a beautiful corn snake. Small little one, nice red and brown and black tinges, nice patterns, and I managed to capture it. It's not fun catching snakes, but I did it for him. Put in a box, and by God, you should have seen his face. The excitement, the joy, the life in this little kid. He said, "Mama, you just made my day." He was fascinated. He loved reptiles to the limit. And here was a little boy enjoying God's creation. He enjoyed nature. He lived life to the fullest. You must have heard his friends, you must have heard his teacher. That was Neal. And we had the good fortune of spending time with him. Now about Neal's second passion, geography and the world and all the places. His dad, Dana, would think that it is first passion, but we all believed it was his second. And he was a GOB champion. Not only at GOB, he was a champion in so many ways. Despite his health setbacks, he was a champion of happiness. He always made sure his fun was never taken away.
We were so glad. We're so glad that we live in Florida We cherished every visit, Neal's visit and his family. While we were enjoying his visits, we heard the news of his illness. So this is my letter to him. My dear Neal, while I grappled with the disbelief of your illness, you stood unwavering and resilient. To say you merely fought the disease would be an immense understatement. You accepted the challenge gracefully while holding on to your core values. Even through all the agonizing surgeries and treatments, you radiated more love toward us. You were grateful for your time here, and your bond with the nature deepened. Most adults, let alone teenagers, would falter under such pressure. But you, Neal, you proved that only an elevated soul, born with a higher purpose, could navigate such adversity with poise. In you, we found a guru. You had the wisdom of a sage beyond your years, who taught us the art of acceptance, resilience, positivity, cheerfulness, and to radiate unconditional love even in the face of overwhelming pain. You have evolved from our sweet little boy into our friend, and remarkably, our guru. The mere thought of you fills my heart with warmth and gives me this immense strength I never knew I had. You have touched the lives of so many people with your unconditional love, boundless joy, and unwavering cheerfulness. Once, I overturned the rocks in my backyard to surprise you, but now I see myself doing it out of curiosity. That's the power and impact you had on me and so many people. Because of your fondness for maple leaf cream cookie from Trader Joe's, we started buying in our home, and that was the only cookie allowed in our house. My dear Neal, my sweet boy, my friend, my guru, I'll miss you terribly, and your memory is forged in my heart forever. They say that those who are close to us never pass, and they live in our hearts and mind always. I feel your presence in every corner of the world. When I spot a snake slithering by, I think of you. When a gecko springs out in the view, there you again. Every time I pause and look and admire nature, I see your face smiling. The laughter and the twinkle in your eyes are with us every moment. Thank you for instilling us a deep appreciation for nature and for showing us the power of unconditional love. Thank you for teaching us to face life's challenges with grace and acceptance, transcending them with remarkable resilience. We continue to cherish your memories and offer each other the same unconditional love you gave us.
And when he went through this, the transformation from the geo champion to the guru who had a message for us, I would like to share this message. I believe that towards the end, Neal embodied the realization of the universal spirit. And I would share a verse from the 6th Amsa of the Shiva Rahasyam, the Ribo Gita. Abide in that meaning the God within you. Free of your senses, in which there's neither desire nor anger, neither greed nor delusion, neither ill will nor pride, no impurities of mind, and no false notion of bondage or liberation. And be always happy. We all own a piece of Neal, and Neal owns all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hari Muthuswamy. My family and I formed the other half of Neal's Florida gang. Neal was my buddy. He was a class act, one of my favorite teenagers. He called me Hari Mama, and he called me that 100 times whenever we met. He had a great sense of humor and a fabulous, fabulous heart. He laughed at all my jokes, good or bad. He treated my son, Tarun, who's 5 years younger to him, and my daughter, Tara, who's the same age as him, with the same love and regard as he treated me. But I think he liked me more. He always gave me the biggest, baddest bear hug known to mankind. He loved nature, critters, creatures, and geography like no one else I know. The family he was born into is one of the most considerate, caring, and loving families I know, and they've always embraced us as their own. Dear little Sean, Mira Kuti, Sammy Uncle, and everyone in between were all just fabulous. Neal could not have been cared for better or loved more. He received as much love as he gave. Neal was all that goodness of this family squeezed into one. Neal loved my company on hunting expeditions, hunting for lizards, snakes, iguanas, frogs, and the list goes on. Even during his last trip to Florida between treatments, Anu and Neal also wanted me to accompany him over Dana because I was the cool uncle who let him do anything he wanted to, a position that I'm very, very proud of. I want to share one more story of why Neal is so very special to us. The last time we stayed with Anu and Dana was in May 2023. Instead of giving him a gift card or a gift, I gave Neal a $100 bill. And he gave me a big hug and said, "Thank you, Hari Mama. A great child will do that, sure." A few days later, I received a call from Neal. He said that he had bought this awesome pair of noise-canceling headphones with the money and thanked me again for it. Only an extraordinary child will do that. But Neal did not stop there. He went on to say, "Hari Mama, you must get this for Tarun and Tara, Tarun especially. He will love it and will be very useful for his school." This, Neal and only Neal would say, thoughtful as always, thinking about others as much as he thought about himself. His laughter, his affection, his childish enthusiasm, his curiosity, his thoughtfulness, and above all, his bear hug will always stay with me forever. We'll always miss you, Neal Kanna. I want to finish this with a few lines in Tamil. Kala in kalarige vada, unnai in kalgalal midikireenada. ஓராயிரம் பேர் நாங்கள் இருக்க இந்த தங்கத்தை ஏன் கூட்டிச் சென்றாயடா? தாய் தந்தை உற்றார் உறவினர் கண்ட வண்ண கனவுகள் கோடி கலைத்துச் சென்றாயடா. எங்கள் அணுவின் அணு யாவும் நிறைந்த எங்கள் ராஜாவின் ராஜனை பிரித்து எங்கள் நெஞ்சை ஏன் பிளந்தாயடா? அறிந்தவர் அனைவரும் மகிழ்வது கண்டு பொறாமை ஏன் கொண்டாயடா? சொல்கிறேன் என்று என் மனதிலிருந்து நீல் கிருஷ்ணனை பிரிக்க நினைத்தால் நீ முட்டாளடா. எங்களுடன் அந்த தங்க மகன் தலைமகன் இருந்த ஒவ்வொரு கணமும் எங்கள் வரமடா. அன்பின் மொத்த உருவான அவன் நினைவுகள் எங்கள் மனதில் என்றென்றும் அழியவே அழியாதடா. இது சத்தியமடா. காலா, என் காலருகே வாடா, உன்னை என் கால்களால் மிதிக்கிறேனடா. தேங்க்யூ.
I'd like to invite one of Neal's grandfathers, Dr. Chandra, up.
Dear family and friends, we are gathered here today to celebrate Neal's life. We would like to say it's a celebration since that's what Neal would have asked us to do. I would like to focus on some unique nature of Neal, the way he lived his life and the way he loved everyone. We have known Neal since his birth and have seen his attraction to nature. From the time of diagnosis of the sarcoma, we have been with him through his journey with the tumor. His life is a lesson for every one of us. We are all born in this earth for a purpose. Neal was also placed among us for a reason. He was brave and endured all his difficulties with grace, and in spite of multiple treatments and side effects, he enjoyed a full life whenever he can. We believe Neal had no fear. Most of us will be scared just by hearing the word snake, but he was basically playing with them, along with other crawling creatures, which we all fearful of. He remained calm, not exhibiting any fear, even comforting every one of us who are with him. This mindset is amazing for an 18-year-old, which we do not see in some older people. This shows how highly evolved spiritually he was. He showed unconditional love to everyone who he came across with, not only to the people, but also everything in nature. As we know, unconditional love is divine. He exhibited this by telling everyone at his bedside at the last moments of his life, and also during his life, whenever the phone call ends, he always ended with saying, "We love you all." In June, when he was told by his oncologist, the tumor has come back, this is what Neal told him: "I had a full, happy life. I'm ready to face it." I'm not sure how many of us can do this when we are at that point of life. The statement coming from an 18-year-old shows that Neal was truly a mature person with a divine grace. Neal also had been saying repeatedly till the last breath, "I am with you all. I'm going nowhere." He merged with the Lord, and the Lord is present in all of our hearts. So he has gone nowhere. He's not physically with us, but he's in our hearts and minds as the Lord himself. To summarize, we believe Neal's purpose of having this short life is to teach us how to live in the present and enjoy every moment of it. Be helpful to everyone, love the nature, and live with the nature. As human beings, by nature, we are all consumers, but we should try to be more of a contributor than a consumer. We are sure Neal has contributed more to this world by following this principle. Thanks for being here to honor Neal. God bless you all.
like to invite Neal's sister Mira and his cousins Surya and Darren up.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mira, and Neal is my little brother. Growing up in my family of 5 was marked by simplicity. My parents, my 2 younger brothers, and I were everything to each other in our little world. My parents were truly amazing, providing us with numerous opportunities to explore the world and nurture a curiosity as young children. They took us to museums, restaurants, and vacations, creating so many cherishable memories. My family of 5 was perfect to me. Neal had this specific habit. He loved to speak in baby talk and gibberish. His self-appointed name was Niwi, and he created an entire world filled in this affectionate nonsense. My name transformed into Metwenius John Finkelsteinus, or Miwi for short, and my younger brother Sean became Tawny. When I was around 10, so Neal was 9, he invented Niloland, a whimsical realm built around his baby talk. At the time, I may have dismissed this as child's play, but looking back, I see how Neal's imaginative spirit brought so much magic into our lives. He had this whole world inside his head and taught me to let go of the mundane and create our own fun. As we all grew older, I came to recognize that Neal possessed something truly exceptional. Although I once found his loud, carefree nature somewhat exasperating, I grew to appreciate the gift he had for connecting with people. I, on the other hand, was often quieter and more nervous in social situations. Neal's carefree approach allowed me to break out of my shell and worry less about what others thought. He could effortlessly engage in meaningful conversations, a talent that both amazed me and inspired me. Growing up, our talks grew deeper, and Neal became someone I would go to for advice and give me new perspectives I never considered before. Fast forward to the end of Neal's 8th grade, my 9th grade, Neal was diagnosed with cancer, and our family of 5 faced an unimaginable challenge. Our world was turned upside down, and our family expanded to include a network of extraordinary individuals who stood by us during Neal's entire treatment. Throughout this entire journey, Neal continued to inspire me. Despite facing the unimaginable, he remained one of the happiest persons I've ever known. He taught me to cherish the beauty of life, even in the face of adversity. One of the last lessons Neal taught me was how we have the ability to control how we react to every single situation, and this will always stand by me. Neal will always be a radiant light in this world and a source of inspiration that has taught me to navigate life with resilience and grace. I'm profoundly grateful for my family and will forever cherish the memories of our perfect family of 5 that brought so much magic into my little world. I love you so much, Neely. Thank you.
I remember when Neal used to come over when we were kids. We'd stay up talking for hours in our little sleeping bags. I always used to wonder how he'd talk on and on with so much energy. But now, I just realized it's that human thing of seeking connection and creating happiness within all who surrounded him. In Neal, I had a best friend, a little brother, and a confidant, all rolled into one. I stand here confident that he lies somewhere in the infinity of the universe and looks to us to carry on his legacy of love, compassion, and bravery. I look back on those nights often, the smiles, the jokes, the teases, and truly believe that he embodied every aspect of the joyous human spirit. I hope if there's anything we take away from the love he shared with us, it's the desire to be better people and approach every situation we face with an open mind and an open heart.
Hi everyone, my name is Surya and I'm Neal's cousin. I've had the privilege to get close to Neal and his family over the last 2 years, where I would spend weeks at a time in their house in New Jersey. Whether it was wedging each other after losing ping pong bets or playing the famous dart game in their basement, these times spent with Neal, Sean, and Mira felt like a return to my childhood. Although Neal was messing with me and cracking jokes 24/7, like he always does, it was during these summers I truly began to understand the depth of Neal's character. Neal has a profound curiosity about people, and it left an incredible impact on myself and how I interact with others. Young, old, male, female, or whether you were considered a bit quirky by society's standards, it didn't matter to Neal. He just wanted to learn about you. When I witnessed his curiosity about others, it was really something magical. I'd like to share a specific story that exemplifies Neal's impact on me. Just a few weeks ago, I was on a flight to New Jersey, and I found myself randomly assigned to sit next to an elderly foreign woman. Initially, I had my headphones on, listening to music, and keeping to myself. She spoke to me, but I couldn't really hear her clearly, so I took my headphones off to listen. We introduced ourselves, and that was that. I put my headphones back on and went back to listening to my music when a thought came into my head. What would Neal do? Neal was the king of making connections with people. So taking a page out of Neal's playbook, I removed my headphones once again and dove headfirst into a chat with her. Let me tell you, I discovered some amazing things about her life's journey, her 2 kids living it up in the United States, learned their names even, and the crazy differences between her hometown of Tanzania and the US. It might sound like a small thing, but it turned out to be a fantastic conversation that was inspired by Neal's boundless love for the world and his curiosity about, well, just about everything. It is impossible to share all the ways that Neal has impacted me, but overall, he has taught me how pure and special simple things in life can be. Going forward, we can all live life like Neal by spreading warmth, curiosity, and finding genuine connections wherever we go. Love you, Neal.
I'd like to invite Neal's parents, Anu and Dana, up. You just stay here with me. Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
2 weeks ago, I was not sure I would be able to come here and talk, but after spending time with all the wonderful friends and family who've helped me get through each day, sharing stories about Neal, and just having time to sit, I've been able to process this and feel ready to share my perspective as his mother. Neal was a sweet, inquisitive, loving child with a strong love of animals and nature. I'm sure that everyone has that image of him walking around with his net everywhere he went, always turning over rocks and logs. He commandeered every vacation to search for some unique species or other. We call our first 2 Hawaii trips part 1 and 2 of the search for the elusive Jackson's chameleon. While the rest of us did not really care about finding it, you should have heard all our cheers when we finally found one at the lavender farm on the slopes of Haleakala in Maui. His excitement was contagious as usual. But stronger than his love of animals was his love of people. I think we can all agree that Neal's greatest strength was his heart and his ability to connect with people. I watched him grow from that sweet, inquisitive, loving child to a full-grown man who was still the same sweet, inquisitive, loving child inside. Whether it was the lady who sat next to him on the plane, who we would talk to the whole plane ride when he was 10, starting with his favorite question, "So where are you from?" to just 2 weeks ago to the transport personnel at the hospital, where he initiated a whole conversation by asking, "So, Stanley, how long have you worked here?" And a side note, Stanley turned to him and said, "Neal, it's been 37 years to this day that I've worked here." And started a whole conversation about Neal's next sentence was, "Wow, you must know everyone here. You must be everyone's friend." And it was a whole wonderful conversation to witness. I used to think that these were his idiosyncrasies, little quirks and unique interests. What I've learned these past 2 weeks is that these were his gifts, and he gave it freely to everyone he met. It is my unique privilege to have been there from the day he was born 18 years ago till his passing 2 weeks ago, watching, caring, and loving this beautiful child as he grew up to become the exceptional man that I see in front of my eyes now. I want to confess, we did not think we had such little time with him. As his disease progressed, he only became more engaged, more loving, and we felt we had more time with him. We still took advantage of that last week of summer, surrounding him with 20+ family members. Neal talked till late every night with his cousins. They took him out every day to a different activity. He spent time with everyone that week. My brother noted when we talked about it, it was like there was a festival at the house. And I believe that credit goes to Neal. His positive attitude and his boundless energy washed over all of us. I look back at it and realize that it was a festival of the life of Neal. And these are the memories that we hold most dear. As I read the emails from teachers and texts from friends and their parents, I am reminded by each story that just as Neal lived fully with us, he also lived fully every day of his life with everyone around him. For those of his friends and family who were not able to connect with him these past few weeks, just know he lived fully till the end, till the last day, and he wouldn't want you to be sad. Rather, he would want you to remember the best times with him. Our memories of Neal are the living memorial for this sweet, unique child. And in honor of those memories, we have put together a slideshow for you. Thank you.
I clouds are white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them go. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like a lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dreams that you dare to, why, oh why can't I,
So we'd like to thank everyone for coming. We're so moved by the amount of money donated in Neal's honor, and I wanted Mira and Sean to explain what we're going to do with the donation fund.
A year ago, Neal was looking in the woods behind our house and saw such a beautiful stag deer staring at him. It was a moment that touched him so much, he felt like the stag was looking deep into his soul. And he felt an intense connection to the world around him. He considered the stag his spirit animal. As usual with Neal, his inspiration from the stag didn't stop there. He incorporated the stag into an idea for a charity that would help other children in his same situation. Throughout his treatment, video games were his coping mechanism. He was able to escape to a new world where he could run, jump, and play with his friends when he couldn't leave his hospital bed.
As a result, Neal wanted to help other kids going through cancer treatment just like himself. He knew how much video games impacted his life and how much it would help other children with little else to do. Neal's plan was to provide gaming equipment to the children who couldn't afford it. This charity would have been called Stay Tough and Game, shortening to his majestic spiritual creature, Stag. Now in the present, we decided the best use of the donation fund would be to fulfill Neal's dream. It would create the direct impact we hoped for and be done in Neal's honor. Thank you all for helping us make this happen.
We would like to take this opportunity to thank the school for helping us coordinate this beautiful memorial for Neal and for being an integral part of his life. The school was the place where his friends were, where he was building towards his future, and where he lived the most normal life. And it was the perfect place to host this memorial. We look forward to talking to you all outside. Thank you all for coming.
Neal was a very powerful magnet that attracted people that were willing to return the boundless love that he was so willing to give. So thank you all for being a part of his journey. We're going to move to the main hall, and I hope we continue to share stories and radiate love for Neal.